you? Glad you stopped by. This is the Artistic Motorcycle Company, and I'm Craig Austin. As long as you're here, how about I introduce you to my next project? Great. But first, a little history. I bought my Royal Enfield 500 Bullet secondhand, and the fellow that had it before me didn't much like the modern setup. It had a two-up saddle, these big gawky mirrors and stocky turn signals, and it's modern, it's serviceable, they could export it, but it doesn't really hold true to the original's design. So he had retrofit the bike. He put a solo saddle on it, small profile turn signals, and he had a small pinion pad on the top of the back fender. So when I got it, I like to commute to work, well, there was no way to carry my lunch. What do you do? So I bought a new fender that didn't have the hole for the pinion pad mount, and I decided I was going to build my own luggage rack. Okay, so here's what I came up with. It has a metal frame, there's a steel hoop, 2 bars across the center. These bars connect to the fender stay and to the top of the shock tower. And then this hook on both sides engages hooks, or sleeves rather, on the underside of a duffel bag I made to carry my rain gear. Well, still, I could strap stuff to this, but as I found out with a very expensive pair of sunglasses on the case they came in, that bungee cords and cargo nets aren't necessarily effective, and they spit out the back somewhere between here and a destination. So I still needed a box. Okay, so my wife and I were walking around in a home decorating store, and we came upon a collection of baskets, one of which was about a 1.5 cubic foot picnic basket of woven wood with a solid top and a little loop and bone enclosure and 2 handles. I thought, man, that looks just right. That's a nice look. So we bought that, and I used a couple of bungee cords to secure it to the luggage rack, and got me back and forth to work quite well with my lunch and other sundries in it. And then, well, it fit on the bike nicely enough, I didn't bother to take it off. And it rained pretty heavily one day, and I discovered the whole thing had been put together with water-soluble glue. So, shucks, that didn't work. So, I designed my own box. So here it is. It's made of 5mm Luan. It has 5-ply plywood. It's a South American hardwood veneer. It looks a bit like mahogany. Opens very nicely. Uses a spring as a strut to hold the lid up. Easy to close. You just bend the spring and it collapses very neatly. And the other thing is, if a wind comes up and it blows the lid over, kind of rattly, it doesn't take the entire box off the bike as it would if it were standing up here as some sort of sail. Woo! We have a vintage luggage handle. I didn't think anybody was going to break into the bike, so rather than using padlocks on the hasp, I just made these little nifty leather tabs that secure the lid. Look at that. Works pretty good. Quiet. And by the time I got around to building the box, I of course learned that this machine loses oil. Sometimes it burns it, sometimes it just leaks out. So I created a little pocket in the back for a quart of oil. This is a separate volume. If there's any leakage from the can, it comes out the bottom without getting into the main storage area. And its cover here is kept closed by the top one being closed on it. In addition to this, I have brass corner clips on it just for decoration. It's very difficult to see, but I pegged the corners with dowels into the wood frame inside. Adds a little visual interest. I was also able to put a little Royal Enfield decal in the varnish. This is spar varnish, by the way, marine grade. It's UV resistant. There's about 7 coats on here. And I was also concerned that the bungee cords would wear through the varnish. I'll kind of demonstrate here. So I made these little clips that could protect the corner. And since the bungee cord is assembled with a hog ring, metal hog ring, it would wear against the box, so I included some wear plates. Also, what you don't see often is on the bottom, I have leather feet that are slotted and are the right distance from end to end to fit inside the luggage rack, so the box is fairly well contained in its position. So this has worked quite well. It's been in the weather a bit. There's a lip in the lid that comes up inside the cover, so water has to go uphill to get into the box. I've never had any water get into it. But there is one mistake. I missed my dimension a little bit, and it's about 1 inch too narrow. So the edge of the luggage rack sticks out beyond it. Well, shucks. It's still quite serviceable, and I can put a 3/4 helmet in here. I have a nice dispatch bag that I can kind of wad up and stick in there, so when I go someplace I can keep the dispatch bag in the box, arrive at my destination, exchange the dispatch bag for my helmet, go on my way. Works quite well. But, well, I want to change it. I want to get the dimensions right. I'm going to make it 1 inch wider. The other thing is that it's just wood inside. Any item I keep in there has a tendency to rattle around. I want to put a liner in it, somehow upholstering it so it doesn't affect the varnish, doesn't rattle so much. And for a little bit of variety, I would like to create this in 3 finishes. Now, this is the varnished wood finish. I'd also like to do a herringbone rattan finish with brass and leather trim, and I'd also like to do one in varnished varnished canvas. So it too would have the brass and leather trim. The leather trim, of course, is to keep the edges of either the canvas or the rattan from snagging or unraveling. And I think it'd be very difficult to try to upholster a sharp corner, and the material itself doesn't lend itself to a generous radius. It wears through, you end up with, well, it compromises dimensions and strengthen the corners. So the leather trim will allow me to disguise where the rattan ends and turns direction. Okay, so here I am with some of my supplies. Lots of brass fittings and whatnot. My leather luggage handles. My canvas, as you can see, it's actually a drop cloth. I'm just going to be using a waterproof carpenter's glue. Makes for a strong and durable joint, unlike the first basket. This is my herringbone rattan. This is a natural rattan. Very small pattern, as you can see. Should look very nice on the box without being too large in scale to overwhelm the shape. And my plywood. And as I'm looking around, ready to show you all this stuff, I realize I've run out of spar varnish, or perhaps more likely, it dried out. My experience is no matter how tightly you seal a varnish can, it always seems to get away from you. So buy just what you need, use it quickly, and if you can use it again, great. If you can't, well, nothing to cry over, it's going to happen. So, the other thing we don't have yet, I don't have the leather I was going to make the edge trim with, but that's easily acquired. So, there you have it. And in a few weeks, I'll have 3 boxes made. I'll be able to show you those with the varnish, the canvas, and the rattan finish, and lined, of course, so things don't rattle about. And, well, the next step after that would be to recreate or carry this design into a top box and panniers or saddlebags that fit the factory, or what would I say, the authorized accessories from Enfield Gear. The top box, luggage rack, and the pannier carriers. I have a poster from the 40s, I suppose, of a Royal Enfield 700 that was going to be shown at Earl's Court in London, England. And the pannier frame is still manufactured today, so they're still holding true to the original patterns and maintaining the vintage aesthetic. So I think it will be very interesting to see what happens when I reproduce these three finishes in luggage that fits those factory racks. The reason that would be necessary is that this bike has a solo saddle and there's no room for a passenger, and the luggage rack is actually in the way, so I can't carry a passenger. Well, that also means that the box is sitting too far forward and won't fit the factory racks. So this will be a project for myself and to see how they look, and after that we'll see how they look in the factory racks. So thanks for stopping in. It's good to see you, and we'll stop in again and check on progress. Thank you.